Okay, the truth about cardio today. And here's three questions from the audience. Question number one is, what's the best form of cardio?
Yeah, the
Your
best
turn
form of
first.
cardio. In my turn,
Mm-hmm.
best form of cardio coming from a basketball player. I definitely think for me, it's running. But I think the best answer is it's personal and it depends on the person because I know you have some completely different forms of cardio than me, not being an elite athlete, but still having to, work your heart, work your lungs, work everything.
Right. You take a look at a body type, and there's some people who look like a gazelle, and there's some people who look like a lion. You can't ask a lion to run long distances. He's just not going to survive it. You can't ask a gazelle to have any kind of long-term success in a weight room. You got to gear the training towards what their body is predominantly built for. So somebody lanky, tall, gazelle-like, they might want to do the long distance running. They might want to do more of the steady state type of training.
Yeah, and I think, like that all comes down to realizing what you're working with. If you're not the biggest guy, that doesn't mean you still can't get jacked up or you can't look real good, but you just know your body and know your limits and know what kind of stuff to cater to your body. People eat differently. Some people, train differently. You got to know cardio is a big thing. It is important in our opinions. And just kind of gear your cardio activities towards what your body type is. I think that's the best answer.
And sometimes gear toward what your sport is. So if you're a basketball player, you play hockey, you're going to have a different type of training. It's going to be stop, start, and you got to condition your body for that type of activity. Bottom line, whereas a soccer player, it's more of a running throughout, which caters more to those longer distance runs. Right. So when we're talking from a sports specific thing, I mean, then you got to pose the question, what are you doing it for? The other thing too is pain tolerance. There's certain people who just can't tolerate something like Tabata like training or high intensity training. So if you can't tolerate it, I'm not going to push you to do it because you just won't do it. Sometimes some cardio is better than none. So in that case, you go with more of a moderate intensity.
Yeah, put it this way. I'm out here doing, high intensity sprints. They're back, really high intensity. Then you go to the 400 meter and I'll wake up and I'll be like, okay, my body hurts a little bit. But if I go for 1K, 2K, 3K, up to 5K run, my body is just going to be absolutely fucking toasted, So then you got a guy like my old teacher, Mr. Dean. If he did one of my workouts, he would be feeling like shit. But he goes for those 5K runs, and that's the norm. That's the
But he's
best.
got a long distance body, though.
Exactly, right. And he still looks great, but that's just the type of cardio he does to keep that body.
There's certain guys I see training, and they're big, heavy guys going out for a jog because their feeling is I've got to drop a few pounds. And you see them going out there for a run. I'm like, this guy's not going to last. He's not going to last long term. I feel bad for him. I can walk faster than he runs. It's like, dude, you're better off doing some weights, lowering the rest in between sets and building up your heart that way, building up your lungs that way. So you really got to look at that body type. And people neglect that. They think going out and doing the Rocky 4 training, going out running for long distances.
I was just going to say Rocky.
Everybody relies on that type of training, right? Eat your raw eggs before you go running.
Yeah, it's just that's why we're talking about the truth about cardio today, because there's so many myths, there's so many things that you wouldn't realize after listening to this, you're gonna be like, wow,
And right, and you're not going to get the full picture in 10 minutes because we want to keep these under 10 minutes. Here's the second question we got from the audience is, what's the best advice you can give for cardio? Your turn first.
Yeah, personally for my type of cardio, I like to focus on high intensity and just pushing myself. So the actual activity of cardio, I think the best advice I can give you is, know that it's for a purpose and it's going to make your body look better. So, I mean, if you're a performer like an athlete, it's also going to make you perform better. So the best advice for cardio is understand what the importance is.
Right. And then you got to do it regardless. If it's important, you have to do it.
100%. If you're not doing cardio, for instance, me during quarantine, real quick story, I was probably up to 205 and I looked big, pretty ripped, but I went for a jog and one, I wasn't as healthy as I didn't feel as healthy. And two, The moment I started doing some cardio, my type of cardio, my body just, still like 195, almost 200, completely jacked and ripped.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So my answer to this is I do both. So I do high intensity training, but when I do high intensity training, my advice to anybody doing that type of training is number one, play some music that drives you. You can get some heavy metal, hip hop, whatever it is that motivates you to perform the exercises and get you in the groove. That's the first thing.
Nothing worse than working out cardio with no music. Absolutely nothing.
Unless you're super motivated. The second thing I do is put myself in an environment, go to a gym, or like you saw our home gym was pretty kick-ass, and you just perform better in that type of environment, the one that suits you best. And that might be outdoor training, right? And then the third thing is give yourself a bit of a challenge. People throw challenges at me all the time. And for me, it's kind of like, how many slam ball slams can I do in 5 minutes? Can I do 100? And the next time you try to beat that, right? So throw the challenge out. Personally, I like doing steady state cardio as well. So for the steady state, what we do is we take a long walk. It's an hour and 15 minutes, and we go up one of these mountains in Costa Rica. And the reason why I love it is, number one, it's equivalent to 30 flights of stairs, according to this Fitbit stuff. That's the first thing. Number two, you're out of breath. So it taxes your lungs. It works your heart. Number three, I get a chance to talk to my wife and share the day or the upcoming day. We walk the dogs. And if I'm alone, I'll do a podcast. I'll listen to a podcast. So the purpose of it is multitasking. So doing the cardio was just a secondary. Learning something or walking the dog is the primary. So it's just smart because I don't have an hour and 15 minutes to kill. So that's my advice for both high intensity and low intensity.
Yeah, that's right. Great advice. Great advice.
Question number 3. What is the biggest trap you see with people doing cardio? And I've got a few opinions on this one. Go ahead. You're first.
I think the biggest trap, I'm just going to keep it real quick, is injury. And that's from personal experiences. Like I said, this is the truth about cardio. You're getting it from guys who have, done the failures for you. I'm a pretty decently big guy. I'm a basketball player. I like to keep in very, very high intensity, great shape. But I was making the mistake of going for really, really long runs, almost to the point where I was getting shin splints. I was at the beach living in North Carolina, and I would go on runs, but probably amount to about 5K. And, it was a really, really long run. I'm coming home, my shins are all tight. So bottom line is, injury is, for me, is a big thing. Do stuff that caters to your body, man.
Yeah, I notice when I do a little bit more cardio than I need to, my knees start bothering me. And if my knees start bothering me, I can't do legs. If I can't do legs, my metabolism goes down. If my metabolism goes down, I end up getting fatter. It's a slippery slope. So I would agree with that. The other thing is muscle loss. I know people who
can also be a myth sometimes. It's a myth in the cardio world is muscle loss. Are you going to lose muscle? So tell us about that.
Oh, there's some people who obsess over it. And in the name of losing the body fat, they'll go an hour and 30 minutes on the elliptical. And then over time, well, you take a look at a long distance runner versus a sprinter. Whose body would you rather have?
I'd rather have a sprinter's body.
Yeah, exactly. So likewise, I just think it's a healthier body. It just looks healthier too. I personally think that excessive cardio emaciates you. I would never do it. So I think there is a degree of muscle loss, and depending on who you are, again, if you're a gazelle, go for it. That's your thing. But if you have any sort of muscle, doing too much has a consequence, and it's muscle loss.
Yeah, and I think the biggest relation, real quick, is just, making cardio into a level. Like you said, I loved what you said over there. Get up to levels, level 1, level 2, level 3, 4K, 5K, 6K. How many ball slams can I do? You got to be careful with that. As much as you want to beat your PRs and your friends' PRs and, make it a competition, be smart with the competition. You know what I mean? So if you're going crazy, and you're fucking up your body at the same time, don't be doing that. Do what your body can handle. That's probably the biggest trap people get into as well, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So